Hey, this is Pastor Jay Lee, and you're listening to the Daily Sabbath Podcast. Hey guys, it's Pastor Jay here. Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Daily Sabbath Podcast. Now, as you guys know, we don't typically publish a devotional on Tuesdays anymore, but today is a special occasion. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, for those of you guys who have visited our pod inbox page, that's a place where you can record a question or leave your comments and feedback. There's a third inbox there called Community Devotionals. Now, this is something that I was going to introduce on the podcast at a later time and invite you guys to share, but one of our super fans, Julia Martyn, already discovered the Community Devotionals box, and she took the time to actually share a devotional that she prepared with the community. And so first of all, I want to say, Julia, thank you so much for just taking time to prepare such a thoughtful devotional with us. And so in honor of you being the first to share a devotional with the community, I wanted to share your devotional here with everyone on the podcast. And so I encourage the rest of you guys who are listening, if you love the Word of God and you have a short devotional, kind of like the ones that I share, that you'd like to share with the rest of us, that you go ahead and go onto Pod Inbox. I'll leave the link on the episode description and record your devotional there, and maybe I'll share it on the podcast as well. And so without further ado, here is the devotional from Julia Martyn on rest.
Hi, this is Julia, and I'd like to share a quick devotional about rest. The definition of rest is to cease work or movement in order to relax, sleep, or recover strength. It can also mean taking away your anxiety and finding a clearer headspace. I think that finding rest in today's go-go-go society is quite countercultural, but it's part of what God mandates for us. It's to have a Sabbath, kind of like the name of the podcast, Daily Sabbath. We should have daily moments with God where we can rest in His presence and rest in the fact that He is the one doing the good work through us. It reminds me of the verse Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. We can find rest in following Jesus and not in following our own striving and exertion towards God, but resting in Jesus even as we work daily. In terms of our mental health, I'm reminded of Psalm 23 and how important it is to rest and know that the Lord is our shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. So this is another example of how the Lord disciples us and asks us to rest in Him, and He'll lead us in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. As you think about how you might rest this week, whether it's sleeping or trusting God by refraining from some work, we can always turn to Him and find rest in His easy yoke and light burden. It's actually an act of faith any time that we can lay down our own pride and ego and say, I trust you, God, to do the work through me, and it's not actually my merit that causes you to love me, but it's the way that I allow God to work through me in a restful way, so I can rest even while I'm working and serving Him. So let's allow the Lord to make us lie down in green pastures, to restore our soul, and to give us rest this week.
All right, again, I want to thank Julia for taking time to share that very thoughtful devotional with the Daily Sabbath community. And I think for me, the take home is that rest is an act of faith, and rest is an act of worship. That when we rest and we Sabbath, we are telling the world, but we are also telling ourselves that it's not my striving and my killing myself with work is not what sustains me, but that it's the Spirit of God, that it's Jesus' presence in my life that sustains me. And also that it isn't my striving that earns God's love, but that He loves me already and He calls me to find Sabbath in His presence. And so that message is so at the heart of what the Daily Sabbath podcast is about. And so, Julia, thank you so much for sharing that with us. As always, if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask or feedback on the podcast, you'll find a link in the episode description. You can also support the podcast by buying me a cup of coffee. All right, see you guys on the next episode. For more Daily Sabbath content, please be sure to follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also follow us on our Instagram account, Daily Sabbath.